The House of Cardanis. They're the most prestigious family of the sword in the Arcadia Empire. Think of them as a massive military powerhouse that keeps the entire empire standing. They've got 7 different knight orders, and each one is as strong as a small country's entire army. The direct descendants are called golden dragons because they're all born with golden hair and eyes. Legend says they've actually got the blood of dragons flowing through their veins. Young dragons gather here to awaken that power and prove they're worthy of a name. Even members of the branch family show up, desperately trying to break past their own limits. The training center is where every cadet is pushed to their absolute maximum. William Cardanis, the top-ranked cadet, is showing everyone exactly why he's at the head of the pack. He's taking on multiple opponents at once and making it look like child's play. His rivals are completely stunned. Even working together, they can't even land a scratch on him. One of the girls tries to hold her ground, but she's clearly reaching her limit. She can't even track his speed as he follows up with a heavy mana charge strike. Just like that, she's knocked to the ground instantly. William just stands there looking down at them, totally bored with the fight. He calls them pathetic and says they're no better than the trash from the branch families. For him, this election process was basically over before it even started. Meanwhile, at the Young Dragons headquarters, the high-ranking instructors are keeping a close eye on the training footage. Sir Master Fabian asks the room who they think is actually worthy of the special grade status. The chief instructor says there's really only one person who fits the bill. William is sitting pretty at rank 1, and he just finished demolishing the 2nd and 4th rank cadets. Fabian notes that even the guys he beat were from the main bloodline. The branch family members are being picked off left and right at this point. To the higher-ups, it seems like the gap in bloodlines is just too big to overcome. In this training center, your rank is everything. It's the only indicator of power they care about. It seems like a no-brainer to just hand the top spot to William and call it a day. But the chief instructor suggests they hold off and watch a little longer. He mentions there's one branch family member who's been acting very unusual lately. He thinks it's worth seeing what the kid can do before they make a final decision. The cadet he's talking about is currently sitting at number 25. Leonard Cardanis. Leonard was a total nobody just a few days ago, but he suddenly jumped from rank 381 to 25. The commander thinks it's got to be a joke, but the instructor tells him to look at the screen right now. Leonard is actually confronting William in the middle of the forest. The top ranker is clearly insulted that a branch member would even dare to approach him. William laughs it off, asking if the kid came here to surrender or something. Leonard doesn't look intimidated at all. He just tells William he doesn't need to hold back. Pissed off by the kid's attitude, William lets his blue mana explode outward. Leonard can feel the difference immediately. This guy's aura is on a whole different level from the others, but he doesn't flinch. He just calmly invites the genius to come at him. William takes the bait and leaps into the air, aiming to end this with one massive strike. William screams that he's going to crush Leonard and his sword into dust. He brings his blade down with a massive explosion of blue mana, but he's completely stunned. Leonard is holding him back with nothing but a wooden training sword. With a flick of his wrist, Leonard parries the heavy strike and sends William reeling. William can barely catch his breath, staring at the branch family trash, who's suddenly glowing with power. Leonard calmly tells him that his sword isn't soft enough to be broken by a mere apprentice knight. William is absolutely losing it. He screams at Leonard, asking if he's trying to mock him. He launches into a desperate flurry of attacks, but Leonard just flows around them like water. Up in the observation deck, Instructor Bradley, a tall man in a green cloak, notes that this is some seriously unusual swordsmanship. He's shocked by how efficient Leonard is, parrying every blow with the absolute minimum amount of force. The instructor points out that Leonard hasn't even bothered to launch a single attack of his own yet. William is getting more frustrated by the second, shouting at Leonard to stop running away. He swings his blade in a massive arc, putting every bit of mana he has into the strike. But Leonard is already 2 steps ahead, sliding through the gap in William's guard. William slams his sword into the ground, but Leonard is long gone, appearing right behind him. Pushed to his limit, William's eyes go wild as he charges his blade with even more blue energy. Leonard doesn't wait. He moves in a flash, his wooden sword becoming a blur of motion. He slides past another strike, moving with a grace that William just can't match. Leonard actually gives him a bit of credit, admitting that his raw power is pretty impressive. That just makes William angrier. He snaps back that Leonard has a big mouth for someone who's just been running. He screams at Leonard to stop playing around and fight him seriously. Leonard watches him carefully, noting that William's combat judgment actually isn't that bad. But to Leonard, there's still something big missing from William's style. Leonard moves with the kind of refined instincts you only get from surviving countless life and death situations. He looks at the genius and realizes that William has already reached the absolute limit of his current self. The cadets watching from the sidelines are losing their minds. They can't believe rank 25 is holding his own. To them, it feels like Leonard is a completely different person than he was just a few days ago. Leonard moves again, and this time he's too fast for anyone to follow. William panics. He's completely lost track of where Leonard went. He screams in pure frustration, unable to believe he's being toyed with by a branch member. Suddenly, Leonard is right in his ear, calmly telling the number one that he's already lost. A massive wave of golden energy sweeps through the forest as Leonard delivers a final decisive strike. William is sent flying through the air, coughing up blood as he crashes into the dirt. Leonard stands over him, thinking about how this would have been impossible for his old self. But now his memories are back. The memories of his past life as Run, the silver-haired man once hailed as the world's greatest sword emperor. Run, a man who gave his whole life to the sword. He reached a point where he could split the sky and level mountains with a single swing. But even that wasn't enough for him. He challenged the heavenly demon to a duel to prove his strength. The fight raged on for days without a winner in sight. They were pushing way past what any normal human could handle, moving at impossible speeds. The destruction was so massive, it actually changed the map of the region. And as for how it ended, well, it wasn't the victory he expected. On a ruined battlefield under a blood-red moon, the legendary Sword Emperor finally fell. Rin couldn't wrap his head around it. His technique was supposed to be flawless, but he couldn't even land a single scratch on his opponent. The heavenly demon just smirked and told him the reason was simple. He didn't even know the basics. All those years of training, and he'd missed the most important foundation of the sword. That failure to master the fundamentals finally proved to be fatal. Rin felt the sting of the insult more than his actual wounds. The basics, it sounded like a joke. The demon admitted he was impressed. A stray dog could even push him that far. Rin dropped to his knees, his body completely broken and his spirit crushed. The demon told him to rest in peace as the red moon watched over his defeat. Everything started to fade out as the Sword Emperor's life slipped away. It was over. Just like that, the legend was done. But as he died, he had one final wish. He just wanted one more chance to do it all over again. Reaching out for a moon he thought he'd never see again, his story seemed to end. But where one legend died, a brand new one was just getting started. Somewhere far away, under a clear blue moon, some cadets are panicking because they think they just killed a classmate. Suddenly, Leonard Cardenas gasps for air. Coming back from the brink with a start, he looks at his hands, trying to shake off what he thinks was just a vivid dream. The bullies standing over him are actually disappointed he's still breathing. Leonard stares at them, feeling a strange and powerful change in his body. Cadet 257 isn't satisfied and goes in to finish the job with a heavy punch. But Leonard's body reacts with impossible instinctive precision, catching the strike. He's stunned. His arm moved and blocked the hit entirely on its own. The bully figures it was a fluke and draws a practice sword to teach the trash a lesson. He swings hard, but Leonard moves like a blur, dodging the blade effortlessly. It's happening again. His body is moving way faster than his mind can process. He flows through the air, making every attack look like it's moving in slow motion. Leonard steps in and lands a counterstrike before the guy can even blink. The bully hits the dirt hard. Leonard just stands over him, perfectly calm. The other lackey are losing their minds. This cadet shouldn't be able to move like this. Leonard stands tall, his eyes glowing a deep crimson as the Sword Emperor's spirit fully takes hold. The bullies are starting to back off, realizing this isn't the same weakling they knew. Cadet 257 tries to rally them, reminding them they were just beating him up a second ago. They charge at him together, desperate to take him down by force. Leonard just looks up with a faint smile. He finally understands what was missing. Leonard strikes, his body moving with a fluid grace that feels completely natural, as if he's lived for this very moment. He flows through the air, sending another bully crashing into the ground with a single calculated strike. The third lackey doesn't even see the next hit coming as Leonard continues his relentless, efficient assault. One by one, the bullies fall, left groaning in the dirt as Leonard stands over them, completely unfazed. As the adrenaline begins to fade, Leonard finds himself lost in thought, remembering a strange dream that has haunted him for a long time. In that dream, a powerful warrior fought under a crimson sky, his long white hair whipping in the wind as he faced an impossible enemy. For so long, the memories of that man's life and death have been a constant weight, making it impossible for Leonard to focus on his own path. But now, standing on this field, the truth is finally becoming clear to him. It's almost impossible to believe. Yet, there's no other explanation. He finally realizes the truth. He is the reincarnation of Run, the legendary sword emperor from another world. Even with the evidence right in front of him, the reality of being reborn is a lot to take in. But the moment he tries to flex his power, his body protests. His arms are already screaming from just a few seconds of Heil swordplay. His current form is weak and fragile, a result of the reckless and inefficient way he's been training until now. He stares at his trembling hands, a cold determination settling in his eyes. Things are going to be very different from now on. With the memories and techniques of his past life to guide him, Leonard vows to become stronger than anyone else in this new world. Rin may have failed to reach the absolute peak in his first life, but as Leonard Cardenas, he knows he can finally achieve it. He'll use every resource at his disposal to surpass his previous self and become a sword emperor like no other. Meanwhile, inside the prestigious Cardenas Training Center, the news of the encounter is already starting to spread. Cadet 5 reports that the 3 injured students are completely out of commission and won't be able to participate in the upcoming field training. The most shocking part is that all 3 were taken down by a single person, a student who was supposedly at the very bottom of the ranks. William Cardanos, the elite of the family, is intrigued. He asked for the numbers of the 3 who were beaten. His interest clearly piqued. The cadet reports that Leonard student 381 took them all down in an instant despite them being much higher ranked than him. William's expression remains calm, but a dangerous spark of curiosity lights up in his eyes as he listens to the details of the fight. He draws a blade that crackles with blue lightning, warning the cadet to watch his mouth. He won't let some trash student shake his confidence. William decides he'll have to see for himself if this Leonard is actually a vessel worth his time or just another piece of trash that needs to be disposed of. The heavenly demon looks down with a cold smirk. Consider this a parting gift before you go to the afterlife. He tells Rin he failed to reach the higher realms because his foundations were built too late. Rin is falling into the massive crater left from their fight. In the 5 elements, balance is everything. The demon notes that if Rin had just started correctly in his youth, things might have been different. Rin lies in the dirt, bloodied and broken as his past life comes to an end. Back in the present, Leonard Cardenas sits in deep meditation, blue mana swirling around him. He knows the demon was right. He spent his previous life rushing for power, neglecting the basics. This time, he's starting from scratch while he's still young. He focuses on preparing his new body to handle mana properly, clearing the pathways. A massive magic circle glows beneath him as he stabilizes his internal energy. Even when he was the strongest in the world, his internal power was a mess at this age. He clenches his fist, feeling the potential. He looks up at a banner for the Cardenas family. There's something special about this bloodline he hasn't figured out yet. Later, the lunch rush hits the academy's dining hall. Cadets are everywhere, grabbing their trays. Leonard takes a bite. It's actually pretty good food. Definitely an upgrade from his last life. He needs a balanced diet to fuel his growth spurt, so he makes sure to clear his plate. A massive shadow falls over his table. Someone calls out his old rank. Number 381. It's one of the other cadets. He's heard about the fight from yesterday and asks if Leonard is more hot-headed than he looks. He notices Leonard has quite the appetite today, especially since he usually just picks at his food. Leonard looks at the guy's badge. It's a single-digit 7. The guy corrects him. He's the new number 7 now. He flexes, bragging about taking down the previous holder. In this school, you steal ranks through duels. Leonard doesn't care about the posturing. He just asks what the guy wants. Number 7 tells him not to be so cold. He's just trying to pass on some useful intel. He points out the heavy hitters. The high rankers are already moving to expand their factions and take control. The top spots are mostly held by the direct descendants of House Cardenas, the ones with the golden hair and eyes. The guy looks around nervously, telling Leonard to keep his voice down. Leonard tells him to just get to the point. The guy sigh, noticing Leonard feels like a completely different person lately. He slams his hand down, saying they need to band together if they want to survive the coming power struggle. Over half of the 500 cadets have already submitted to the big factions. He mentions a few other high rankers are already teaming up with him. He wants Leonard and his crew too. Leonard gives him a flat refusal. He has zero interest in joining any side. He picks up his tray and heads out, telling the guy he appreciates the info and owes him one. Number 7 is left stunned. This definitely isn't the same number 381 he knew before. The sun is setting as Leonard walks out of the academy building. He stops and looks over his shoulder, sensing someone following him. Do you have business with me? A pair of boots stops right behind him. The voice tells him they definitely do. 2 cadets with wooden swords are blocking his path. One of them with a bandage on his face shouts that number 1 is calling for him. Apparently, the top student took an interest after Leonard snubbed number 7's invitation. Leonard just turns his back on them. It's all a bit too professional for a bunch of kids playing power games. He tells them to get lost. He's not interested in their little club. The guy snaps. He calls Leonard a bottom feeder and charges with his sword raised. He lunges across the open space, aiming to take Leonard down from behind. Leonard watches him close the distance in a single leap. For someone so young, his physical stats are impressive. The sword comes down, but Leonard's eyes flare. He's already seen through the move. The guy is losing it. He can't wrap his head around how Leonard just blocked a blade with his bare hands. Leonard didn't just block it. He shattered the practice sword into pieces. The attacker is frozen, realizing he's way out of his league. As the cadet stumbles back, Leonard stays perfectly calm. He starts thinking there might be something special hidden in the Cardina's bloodline after all. He looks the guy dead in the eye and asks if he really wants to keep going. The cadet is sweating bullets, but his pride won't let him back down. Fine, then I'll give you exactly what you want, Leonard says. He lunges forward, and the poor guy's life flashes before his eyes. High above in the academy, a mysterious figure watches from a window. He's impressed, noting how Leonard completely toyed with his opponent. The observer is a masked guy in a blue cloak. He wonders if Leonard was just hiding his true strength all this time. He's not a spy, so what's his deal? Suddenly, he flinches. He wonders if Leonard actually spotted him from all the way down there. This is Owl, a cadet observer. He scribbles some notes, excited for an upset that'll break the predictable routine of the academy. Leonard walks away from the bodies on the ground. He started at rank 381, but he's already moved up to number 98. This guy's in a total panic, apologizing as he scrambles to follow an order from the number 1 student. Verita watches him run off, wondering why the top ranker is suddenly so interested in a nobody like number 98. She's Verita Cardano's, the second best in the class, and she's been hearing rumors about a real monster showing up lately. Looking at the piles of defeated cadets on the ground, she figures those rumors weren't an exaggeration. She stops to watch as someone gets launched through the air like a piece of trash. Leonard is the one doing the damage, landing a kick that sends his opponent sliding across the dirt. He stands there looking bored, telling everyone again that he's not interested in their little clubs. He moves like a blur, disarming the guy and leaving him in the dust without breaking a sweat. He just reaches down and takes the guy's badge. He's the new number 25 now. Verita walks up and congratulates him on the move up the ladder, but she's mostly just curious. She zooms in, looking past the surface to see what this kid is really made of. To her, Leonard's energy looks like a massive, swirling storm of power that shouldn't belong to a rookie. Leonard looks at the badge in his hand, knowing this is just the first step of many. He notices her staring and realizes she can see his internal energy. She's got the mind's eye. It's a rare ability that lets you see right through an opponent's moves and intentions before they even make them. She asks why he hates teaming up so much, reminding him that tomorrow's training is going to be a nightmare alone. Before he can answer, a voice from behind tells them both to shut it. Enter William Cardenas, the actual number 1, and he definitely has an ego to match the rank. He steps right on the head of the guy Leonard just beat, calling his own people trash for not being able to handle a simple errand. Leonard doesn't look impressed, staring right back at the guy everyone else is terrified of. They face off right there, the new guy and the top dog, and the vibe is instantly lethal. William tries to flex his authority, but Leonard just asks if he's ready to go right now. The tension snaps when Verita bursts out laughing. She can't believe someone actually had the nerve to talk to William like that. She finds him hilarious. Admitted she's never seen anyone treat the number 1 like a normal person before. She tells them both to chill out since they got a big training exercise starting tomorrow. William shoots him a final death glare, warning him that he's going to regret picking this fight. Leonard just shrugs it off, his mind already on the next stage of his plan. He knows the higher-ups use his training to build their own factions, but he's playing a different game. Tomorrow is the joint training session, and it's a big deal for everyone at the academy. Deep in the forest, senior instructor Bruno gets briefed on how the students are splitting into groups. Bruno is a tough old bird, and he's keeping a very close eye on how these new recruits handle themselves. His subordinate tells him about one weird trainee who refused to join a squad and insists on going solo. The whole exercise is going down in the massive forest of Cardinos, which is basically a giant playground for monsters. As expected, most of the kids have grouped up around the top 4 students to keep themselves safe. Squad A is the biggest by far, filled with everyone who wants to hide behind William's power. Verita leads Squad B, attracting the students who actually want a leader with a brain. Squad C is the commoner group, the guys who don't have a fancy name, but still want to prove they belong. Squad D is the strategy group, led by number 4 and focusing on tactics instead of just brute force. Squad E is the island of misfit toys, basically everyone who got rejected from the other groups. And then there's Squad F, which is just Leonard by himself, ready to take on the whole forest. He looks out over the trees, noticing that the training grounds are way bigger than he anticipated. Bruno spots him walking into the woods alone and asks if that single pack is really all the gear he brought. Bruno looks over the meager supplies Leonard packed, just some water and biscuits. He asks if Leonard really thinks that's going to be enough for what's coming. Leonard isn't worried at all. He tells the instructor that since this is supposed to be a survival exercise, bringing anything more would just be cheating. To everyone else, this is a group project, but Leonard knows the truth. It's just one big game of King of the Hill where you steal as many rank badges as possible. Before he can head out, someone interrupts and asks the instructor for a quick word with a new number 25. It's Dylan Cardenas, the number 4 student. He tries to sound helpful, warning Leonard that the forest is way too dangerous for a solo run. Dylan's got a smile that doesn't reach his eyes, looking every bit like a snake as he offers Leonard a spot in his squad. Leonard sees right through the act and tells him to buzz off, making it clear his business is his own. He knows exactly what Dylan is. After a useful pawn to throw at the monsters when things get hairy, only to be ditched later, Dylan just laughs it off, pointing out that every other squad is packing heat with dozens, even hundreds of members. He thinks his offer is more than fair. Leonard doesn't feel like explaining himself. He's not here for a squad picnic. He's here to win his own way. The mask slips and Dylan's tone turns cold. He finally gets why the top ranker hates Leonard. It's that annoying arrogance that usually gets people killed. Without any warning, Dylan lunges forward, trying to force the issue with a sudden strike. He's stunned when Leonard moves like a ghost, slipping past the attack before Dylan can even finish a sentence. Leonard's footwork is unlike anything Dylan has ever seen, shifting his weight in a way that feels completely unnatural for a cadet. In a flash, Leonard counters, leaving Dylan reeling from the speed of the transition. Dylan realized something terrifying. Even when Leonard struck, there was zero killing intent, meaning he's already mastered his emotions like a pro assassin. Dylan ends up eating dirt while Leonard stands there looking as calm as if he were just out for a morning stroll. Bruno steps in impressed by the display. He tells Leonard that since this was just a scuffle, his rank won't change, but he'll let the solo squad head out into the forest first. Leonard gives a simple nod and prepares to depart, taking the head start he was just handed. As he passes by, Leonard realizes just how scary Instructor Bruno is. The guy has zero presence, but the power radiating off him is absolutely massive. He charges into the tree and knowing that even with his past life experience, the monsters in this forest are going to be a real headache. He thinks about the competition kids like William and Verita are already monsters in their own right, even at this age. It's not just luck. He's starting to suspect the Cardenas bloodline is hiding a serious secret to produce this many geniuses. But he's got no time for mysteries right now. His first priority is finding a solid hideout where he can set up shop and start picking people off. Inside the command center, Instructor Bruno overlooks several holographic screens, asking for a full report on the current situation since the training began. One of his subordinates reports that the fighting started a lot sooner than they expected this time around. As soon as Squad A hit the forest, they didn't even bother looking for a base. They went straight for the throat and ambushed Squad C. It was a complete slaughter. Almost everyone was wiped out in a one-sided assault except for number 3, who managed to barely scramble away. Bruno finds it interesting that they chose a surprise attack right from the jump, even though he already knew their leader was sharp. But he realizes the leader wasn't just playing a numbers game. It was a cold, calculated move. He explains that for a massive group like Squad A, dragging the battle out is a death sentence because of supply issues, so they had to strike fast. They caught everyone off guard by ignoring the usual base building phase, proving their leader is operating on a whole different level of strategy. Bruno moves on, asking for the status of Squad B and Squad D next. Turns out those two squads realized the threat and formed an alliance to take down their common enemy, the top-ranked Squad A. Bruno is impressed by their quick reaction, noting this batch of cadets is looking much more promising than the last one. He then turns his attention to the remaining squads, asking Instructor Colin for her update. Colin looks a bit tense as she acknowledges him, clearly feeling the pressure. She starts by saying Squad he hasn't really done much since they picked their leader, but then she pauses. When it comes to Leonard Cardenas, Cadet 25 from Squad F, she honestly doesn't even know where to start. Out in the field, Colin watches from the shadows of the forest as Leonard stands alone in front of a mysterious cave. She's completely thrown off when he suddenly speaks up, even for an instructor. Her presence masking is supposed to be top tier. Leonard turns his head slightly, calmly, telling her he has a question he needs answered. Colin realizes her cover is totally blown. The kid knew exactly where she was the whole time. She steps out from the trees with her arms crossed, telling number 25 to go ahead and ask whatever he wants. Leonard gestures toward the cave, saying he wants to use it for his camp, but he can see it's already occupied. He wants to know if the beast hiding inside is one of the ones tamed by House Cardinus. Right then, a massive blue wolf lunges out of the darkness, snarling with its claws dug into the dirt. Colin confirms it's a dar wolf trained by the family, so it's technically safe, but she knows no single cadet should be able to take it on. She gets a little smirk, thinking she'll just watch and see if Leonard is all talk or if she'll actually have to bail him out. She tells him she doesn't care what he does to it. If he wins, he can use it as a bed for all she's concerned. But she adds the caveat that he has to actually defeat the thing first. The wolf leaps through the air with terrifying speed, aiming right for him. Leonard doesn't even flinch, thinking the beast has decent reflexes for a pet. As he gets ready to counter, he decides he might as well go easy on it since the spot is just too good of a campsite to pass up. The wolf bares its fangs, its eyes glowing with a feral energy. It lets out a fierce howl, releasing a wave of pressure that shakes the ground. Leonard feels the sudden surge of blood, lust, and wonders if the creature has completely lost its mind. He realizes that if he holds back too much and gets injured, it'll only make things more annoying for the instructor. He grips his practice sword and warns the wolf that this next move is going to sting. The wolf lunges again, but Leonard is already a step ahead, moving with a blur of speed. The beast snaps its jaws, but Leonard ducks right under its massive head. He scoffs, telling the creature he isn't going to be an easy meal. In a single explosive motion, Leonard connects with a powerful strike that sends the giant wolf flying. Colin is absolutely speechless. He just completely overwhelmed a dire wolf in the blink of an eye. She watches as Leonard lands perfectly, questioning if this is actually the kind of power a normal cadet should have. The once terrifying wolf is now acting like a submissive puppy, and Leonard just calmly tells it to stay. Leonard points and gives a firm command, sit. He follows up with roll over, and the massive dire wolf immediately flops onto its back, tongue out, acting like a giant puppy. He holds out his hand and says, paw, and the creature obediently offers its giant clawed paw with sparkles surrounding the moment. Turning to Instructor Colin, Leonard asks if he can bring the wolf along for the training, since it seems to have taken quite a liking to him. Colin is sweating, processing the fact that someone with his insane strength just tamed a dire wolf, a feat that makes his request a very difficult one to handle. She eventually relents, admitting that his taming success is undeniable proof of his ability, so she'll permit it, but only under certain conditions. The wolf is strictly forbidden from participating in any combat. It can only be used for travel or scouting missions. Leonard notes that was his plan from the start anyway. She adds one final warning for him to make sure it doesn't harm any other cadets. As he walks away, leaving a trail of dust, Leonard glances back with a sharp look in his crimson eyes, thinking to himself that this new asset will be incredibly useful. He gives the wolf a command to go out and find some food for them. As they reach a fork in the path, Leonard decides they should split up for now. He tells the wolf to also bring back anything interesting it finds besides just food. The dire wolf takes off like a blue streak, leaving Leonard behind. Elsewhere in the forest, a terrified cadet sits on the ground, calling someone a monster as he looks up in fear. Standing over a group of defeated cadets is William Cardinus, looking absolutely disdainful as he calls them pathetic trash who shouldn't carry the family bloodline. He reaches into his pocket to stuff another badge away, complaining that he's completely out of room for any more. With a cold glare, William tells the defeated cadet that if they ever cross paths again, he'll personally see to it that they're disqualified from the academy. The cadet can only watch him leave, thinking in despair that even if their entire squad attacked together, they wouldn't be able to lay a finger on him. The leader of Squad E, clutching his chest and covered in bruises, feels like they're nothing more than easy prey in this forest. His squad members look to him for what to do next, and he admits they got lucky this time, but one more attack from another squad will be the end of them. He tries to rally his remaining teammates, telling them to pull themselves together so they can at least go look for some food. Suddenly, the ground shakes with a massive thud, and the squad freezes in sheer terror. The leader looks up, sweating, as he realizes they've just become prey for something even worse. A massive, monstrous brown bear towers over him, its eyes glowing with a feral hunger. Just as the bear is about to strike, Leonard drops from the sky like a comet, landing right on top of the beast's head. With a single heavy blow, he slams his fist into the monster's skull, sending out a shock wave of energy. The giant beast crashes to the ground out cold, while Leonard stands calmly on its back. The squatty leader is stunned, immediately recognizing the boy as number 25. Cadet 438 is livid, calling Leonard a cold-blooded bastard for stepping in on their hunt. It turns out he's actually mad because that bear was supposed to be their food for the next few days. Leonard just keeps walking, casually asking if everyone's still in one piece. The guy can barely process the question, staring back in total disbelief. Leonard stops and asks again, making sure they're actually okay. As he turns to leave, the cadet shouts out, asking if he's planning to steal their badges too. Leonard looks back over his shoulder, explaining he only showed up because things look dicey. He tells them he's here for training, not some game of points he can find his own food. He offers a bit of parting advice. If they want to win, they should probably pick their battles better. The cadet stands there stunned, finally admitting out loud that he owes Leonard one. He thanks Leonard for keeping them from getting kicked out of the exam. Leonard admits he didn't really mean for it to go down like that. Suddenly, something catches their eye in the brush. Glowing blue eyes pierce through the shadows. A massive blue wolf steps out, carrying another cadet in its jaws like a chew toy. While the others freak out, Leonard just looks the beast in the eye and tells it to sit. Surprisingly, the wolf actually listens, dropping the girl right at their feet. It's Cadet 3, and she looks like she's been through hell. The guy recognizes her immediately. She's a powerhouse, and seeing her like this is terrifying. He looks from the mangled girl to the happy wolf, realizing Leonard is definitely the scariest thing in these woods. Leonard notes how deep the wounds are, wondering if a monster or a top-ranked cadet did this. He checks in with the guy again, asking if he's still worried about getting eliminated. Leonard gestures to the dead bear, telling them to take that for food instead of trying to loot the girl. He tells them not to get too hung up on the numbers on their badges. With that, Leonard heads off into the forest with his new giant pet in tow. Later that night, the girl finally blinks her eyes open, finding herself bandaged up. She looks at her treated wounds, confused about who could have possibly helped her. Leonard's voice asks from the shadows if she's finally awake. She immediately lunges with a kick, but Leonard catches it without even looking up. He tells her she should stop wasting energy and just get some proper rest. She isn't having it, immediately demanding he give back her badge. Leonard just gives her a deadpan look. He reaches over and shows her the badge is still right where it belongs. She softens up a bit, thanking him for the save, while admitting she can't lose that badge. Instead of arguing, Leonard just hands her a skewer of freshly roasted meat. He tells her it's only natural to feed a child when they're hungry. While she eats, he asks about her squad and what happened to cause those wounds. She stares into the fire and tells him it wasn't a monster that did it. She explains that right after they set up base, a rival squad completely wiped them out in a surprise attack. It was a total defeat without a real fight, as she blames herself for being a pathetic leader. Leonard realized that fighting in a group is a completely different ballgame from a duel. He thinks about how someone like William Cardenese could easily crush a group of youngsters with a bit of tactical knowledge. Leonard asks point blank if number 1 was the one who did that to her arm. As meat crackles over the fire, she admits her squad just didn't have the strength to match them. It eats at her that they were taken out before they could even draw their swords. Leonard notes that even after a crushing defeat, her eyes haven't lost their fire. Looking at her, he knows she has the potential to become a truly great warrior. But for now, the situation is grim at this rate. The other squads are going to fall one by one. She wonders if there's any hope in forming an alliance with the remaining groups. Leonard points out that morale is a bigger factor than numbers, and a winning side only gets stronger. He's certain that a simple surprise attack won't work since the enemy is definitely expecting it. Instead, he suggests they target the squad's specific weakness. He explains that the entire group functions around a single person. Number 1, because their leader is so strong, their unity is top-notch, but that's exactly what they'll exploit. The moment that central pillar is removed, the rest of the squad will crumble into a disorganized mess. Leonard can see the thirst for revenge in her eyes, and she doesn't bother denying it. He looks her in the eye and tells her to just put her trust in him. Seeing his confidence, she accepts the plan and asks if she should start calling him her new squad leader. A group of cadets is loaded down with heavy packs trace through a forest trail. William Cardenas and his right-hand man, Cadet 5, are waiting for them. William's acting like he has all the time in the world, confident that things are going exactly according to plan. He's got that smug look on his face, expecting the results of their little hunt to show up any second. Suddenly, he signals everyone to stop. It's time to get ready for a fight. He shouts into the trees, telling whoever is hiding that they might as well surrender because he already knows they're there. A bunch of birds suddenly fly out of the trees, signaling that someone is finally making their move. A few cadets step out from behind the bushes, wooden swords at the ready. William mocks them, saying the leisurely lion they were hunting has a better nose than he gave them credit for. Then 2 more show up, a blonde girl with badge number 2 and a guy with badge number 4. William asks if they're more like dogs than lions. He just laughs at them, calling their little ambush attempt pathetic and predictable. He looks down on the girl, wondering how someone as weak as her has the guts to even stand in front of him. But number 2 isn't intimidated. She just smiles back and calls him a complete disgrace to the House of Cardenas. She keeps the insults coming, calling him a showy peacock who's all talk and no bite. That strikes a nerve. William's expression turns nasty as he tells her she's about to find out what real dignity looks like. The two groups clash in a blur of motion. It's total chaos. Everyone's charging in, and number 2 squad is trying to take down William's group in one hit. Cadet 5 tries to keep his side together, shouting for everyone to tighten their formation and hold the line. Wooden swords are flying everywhere as the cadets get into a massive brawl. The blonde girl tries to go toe-to-toe with William, but she realizes pretty quick that his strikes are incredibly heavy. Even with her special eyes that are supposed to read movements, she can't see through his technique at all. William looks bored as he pushes her back effortlessly. He keeps her on the defensive, not giving her a second to breathe. He mocks her, asking if she really came all this way just to show off such useless, petty tricks. With one quick move, he slams her down hard. She thinks she sees a chance and lunges for his back. She's sure she's got him, reading the movement of his muscles to time her strike. But halfway through it hits her. The opening he left is just way too obvious. Her eyes go wide as she realizes she walked right into his trap. William counters with a massive blow that sends her flying. He looks down at her, admitting she's at least better than the guy with badge number 4, but she's still way too slow. He leans in, his sword creaking against hers as he overpowers her completely. A close-up of his cold gaze shows he's thinking about someone else, someone like number 25. He finishes her off, leaving her gasping on the ground. William stands over her, telling her to just give up because she was never on his level to begin with. He's ready to declare himself the winner of the entire training exercise, but a voice from the tree stops him, calling his victory a bit too hasty. A new figure walks out of the shadows. It's Leonard Cardanos. He's walking out casually, dragging a defeated Cadet 5 behind him like a sack of laundry. William can't believe his eyes. He's shocked that number 25 is actually there. Leonard drops the unconscious cadet and says he's just returning the favor for what William did to his squad. William starts yelling, saying a trash like Leonard shouldn't even have a squad in the first place. Leonard just stares him down with those piercing red eyes. He admits that, yeah, at the start he didn't have anyone. As William stands there confused, a loud scream echoes through the forest behind them. Leonard points out the battle unfolding below. The lower-ranked cadetses, the ones everyone looked down on as worthless, are finally pushing back in their own rebellion. The group is in high spirits, cheering for number 25, their unexpected leader. Leonard steps in to interrupt the celebration. The cadets are stark seeing both him and number 3 together. Leonard reaches out a hand to the group, proposing an alliance. One of the cadets, number 438, is hesitant. He's worried that they're just a weak squad and will only hold him back. Leonard looks at them firmly. He tells them to stop being so obsessed with the numbers on their shirts. He explains that training is the same for everyone, and those numbers are just labels that don't reflect their real potential. He uses a diagram to show that only a very small number of people ever truly awaken their unique traits. He points to himself and number 3. Even though she's from a branch family, she climbed all the way to the top through pure effort alone. Leonard mentions his own journey, how he crawled up from number 381 to his current rank by his own strength. Number 438 is still in disbelief. To him, the gap in rank exists because they simply aren't strong enough to win. Leonard shouts that the problem isn't their physical strength, but something deeper. He tells the gathered cadets that they lack the courage and the heart to actually believe in themselves. He asks them if they've ever actually resolved to see a challenge through to the very end. He clenches his fist. He tells them that they can win, and he's officially proposing that F Squad and a quad join forces. Leonard extends his hand again, asking if they'll join him to take down number 1 together. Number 3 raises her wooden sword high. She rallies the crowd, telling them to charge for the sake of the man who believed in them. William looks on in disgust, asking number 3 if she has no shame in joining hands with those beneath her. Number 3 just laughs it off. She tells William that he's the one who needs to be careful, reminding him that number 25 blocked his kick like it was nothing. Leonard stays silent as number 3 continues, pointing out that his movements were far more refined than William's. A close-up of William shows him grit his teeth in a blind rage. He can't stand the idea that his squad strength is being questioned. In the background, the low-rank cadets are actually winning, pinning down William's subordinates. Seeing which way the wind is blowing, the girl with badge 2 drops to her knees and asks to join Leonard's squad, 2. The boy with badge 4 follows suit, deciding he'd rather surrender to Leonard than keep losing to someone he can't stand. William explodes with anger. He screams at them, asking if they have any pride left as members of the House of Cardanos. William is fuming, telling them to stop being stubborn and just admit their defeat. Leonard stands his ground as William points his sword at him, calling him out by his rank number 25. William challenges him to a duel right there, putting the victory of both squads on the line. He lunges forward, determined to prove the massive difference in their strength once and for all. Leonard just gave a small confident smirk. This was exactly what he was waiting for from the start. He draws his sword as golden energy flares up around him. With a cold look in his eyes, he tells William to come at him so he can finally make him understand the truth. Bradley watches the arena with a critical eye, curious about the outcome of this final showdown. The two duelists face off, the tension between the top-ranked cadet and the new prospect filling the air. Number 1 charges in, his destructive sword style clashing violently against his opponent's defense. A heavy impact echoes across the grounds as their blades lock in a struggle for dominance. Leonard remains perfectly calm even as the strain of the defense begins to take its toll on his arms. He notes that while his opponent has raw power, the movements themselves are predictable and easy to read. An attack comes from a strange, unexpected angle, forcing a sharp reaction. Leonard realizes this must be the same trick that took down the second-ranked cadet. Bradley stands in the shadows, quietly impressed by the display of skill. Leonard sees right through the technique, a magnificent feat to achieve in such a short time. Bradley can hardly believe a cadet, without a trait, is pulling off moves that even the top rank struggle with. He realizes the moment their blades clash that this isn't just a contest of physical strength. The secret to number 1's strength is revealed. The invisible, formless power of psychokinesis. Waves of mana ripple through the air as the top ranker unleashes his hidden advantage. His blade strikes from impossible trajectories where normal force shouldn't apply. By pouring psychokinesis into his arm and blade, he generates a devastating amount of unconventional power. Leonard dodges another heavy blow, staying light on his feet despite the onslaught. The ranker is stunned, realizing Leonard has already seen through the secret of his power. They lock blades, their faces just inches apart as the air crackles between them. The top cadet shouts in frustration, demanding to know why Leonard kept his true strength hidden. Leonard gives him a cold look, telling him his sword will provide all the answers he needs. A golden crest of the sword douche flares behind him, signaling the gravity of the match. Leonard prepares for the next exchange, his expression unreadable. Psychokinesis isn't just for defense. Number 1 uses it to enhance the lethality of every strike. He tears through the ground, warning Leonard not to take his confidence for granted. Leonard stands his ground, asking his opponent to show more of his true self. Blue energy erupts around Number 1 as he vows to show exactly what's been asked for. Leonard knows his current body is weak and can't use his old powers, but he also can't afford to draw unwanted attention. He decides there's only one way to end this quickly. His gaze sharpens, fixed entirely on cutting his opponent down. The ranker unleashes waves of force that shatter the earth around him. Leonard leaps through the chaos, dodging the invisible blades with impossible grace. Frustrated, Number 1 swings wide, trying to catch his elusive target. Leonard flips over him, landing a kick that sends the top ranker reeling. The spectators are baffled, struggling to understand how the underdog is controlling the fight. They realize the top cadet was using his power to mask his movements, making his style cowardly and difficult to track. Despite the invisible trait, Leonard continues to dodge every single strike thrown his way. The other cadets are stunned that he hasn't even been touched yet. One observer realizes that it isn't cowardice at all. Something much more deliberate is happening. While it looks like he's running away, Leonard is actually closing the distance inch by inch. Bradley smiles, realizing Leonard is masking his approach so his opponent won't notice. He's moving like a predator, leisurely cornering his prey for the final strike. Number 1 is blindsided by how quickly the gap between them has vanished. Leonard strikes with a fluid, blindingly fast motion that catches his opponent completely off guard. He stares down the top ranker, declaring the match over with a single calm sentence. The force of the final blow sends Number 1 flying backward, the impact echoing through the woods. A massive explosion of energy and debris marks the end of the exchange. Gasping for air, Number 1 can hardly process the reality of his own defeat. To him, this isn't just losing a match. It feels like facing the cold touch of death. A terrifying image of a grim reaper looms in his mind, underscoring the weight of Leonard's pressure. Leonard stands over the fallen cadet, the point of his wooden sword resting right at his forehead. He maintains his composed, analytical expression, showing no sign of fatigue. Number 1 laughs weakly, finally forced to admit that number 25 is the winner. The instructors and spectators watch in stunned silence as the top ranker is officially dethroned. The crater left behind serves as a testament to the sheer intensity of their short exchange. The chief instructor is genuinely surprised by the unexpected turn of events. Number 1 admits that losing actually feels refreshing, a strange lightness filling him. Leonard is caught off guard by the sudden shift in his opponent's attitude. Number 1 realizes his obsession with power was a burden passed down from his father. But with this defeat, all those oppressive weights have finally been swept away. He reaches out a hand, fully accepting the result and the change it brings. Leonard simply acknowledges the good match, showing no arrogance in his victory. They shake hands firmly, ending their duel with mutual respect. The spectators are in total disbelief, still trying to grasp that the top ranker actually lost. Some cadets are devastated, having lost everything they bet on a sure winner. Despite the upset, the chief instructor sees this as a magnificent harvest of talent. He officially declares the field training concluded. As the crowd erupts into cheers for Leonard, a few other elite cadets are forced to acknowledge the surprising performance of Leonard's squad. They realize he's an extraordinary individual who successfully teamed up with nobodies to take down a top squad. The chief instructor understands that Leonard saw right through the true purpose of the field training. It's an unexpected but remarkably satisfying outcome for the Academy's leadership. As the excitement dies down, he gives the order to prepare for their return. It's time to contact the main house. The period for the blood successor, rite, has officially arrived. Leonard gives the giant blue wolf one last pat. He's leaving tomorrow, and unfortunately, he can't take his furry friend with him. The wolf looks pretty down about the news. It's been a loyal companion during his time in the forest. Seeing the look on its face, Leonard asks if it's really that sad to see him go. Under the massive full moon, he admits he's going to miss this place too. He promises to get a lot stronger and come back for it eventually. The wolf finally perks up, giving him a big toothy grin. Leonard walks away, telling the wolf it better keep up its own training if it wants to follow him later. As the wolf howls at the moon, Leonard makes one last promise to give a proper name the next time they meet. The next day, the mood is way different. Leonard is stuck in a carriage with a bunch of other cadets, and the silence is heavy. Cadet 25 breaks the ice by asking why they're even all in the same carriage. Leonard just sits there looking stoic. He's the top-ranked cadet now, so he's got a bit of an aura. The guy is dying to talk to the person who managed to jump from near the bottom all the way to number 1. In just a month, Leonard finally acknowledges them. The guy says he's got some news for everyone. A girl mocks him, asking if his head got rattled during training because he's actually acting smart for once. He ignores her and explains that starting tomorrow, their supplies will depend entirely on their grades. He also brings up the blood successor rite, which sounds like a big deal. Apparently, the Cardina's bloodline has special mana circuits that set them apart from normal people. The rite is a ceremony specifically designed to awaken those unique circuits. Once awakened, they'll be able to manipulate mana way more freely than before. Those who succeed get to join the Young Dragon Knights, an elite group that sounds pretty legendary. Cadet 25 admits he's never heard of them, mostly because their existence is kept secret from the public. It's a specialized order for live combat training, focusing on fostering the next generation of masters. Leonard chimes in, asking if everyone's circuits are really that different. The guy explains, mana, their attributes and quantity vary from person to person. The blue-haired girl mentions the old rumor that dragons' blood flows through their veins. According to the guy, the fewer cores you have, the better. Having just a single core is considered the absolute peak of talent. The guy then boasts that he's definitely a single core genius himself. The girl laughs at him, reminding the carriage that single cores only show up once every decade. Leonard remembers his past training, which involved balancing all 5 elements. He asks if it's possible to have 5 cores. The guy confirms it's called a pentacore, but says it has the worst training efficiency imaginable. The biggest issue is the resource drain. For every extra core, you need double the materials. A chart shows the terrifying scale. A quad core takes 16 times the effort of a single one, and a pentacore that requires a staggering 25 times the work. Leonard's face drops. He realizes his past life expertise might actually be a huge hurdle here. The girl tells him not to sweat it. With his combat skills, he probably doesn't even need theory. Leonard considers a different angle. If someone actually managed to train all 5, wouldn't they be the strongest? The guy continues to brag about his own core, while the others just wish he'd shut up. But then the reveal happens. Everyone is shocked to see the result. Leonard is a pentacore. He walks away while the other cadets whisper about his supposedly terrible luck. Leonard can't believe it. He stood out for all the wrong reasons this time. He goes back to training, moving so fast his form becomes a complete blur. Watching from the shadows, someone is amazed that he can already manifest a sword at such a young age. Commander Fabian steps out of the shadows. He's already heard the rumors about the boy who used to be ranked at the very bottom. He looks at Leonard and admits that seeing a kid this skilled at such a young age is genuinely impressive. What really blows him away is that Leonard reached this level of technical perfection without even tapping into his ki. Leonard calmly explains his philosophy that true martial arts aren't just about energy, but are forged in the heart and honed by the body. Fabian takes a second to process that. It's a pretty bold statement for a cadet to make. And the commander just loses it, bursting into a loud, booming laugh that echoes through the room. He likes the kid's attitude. He's willing to overlook any exaggerated rumors if the boy has this much fire in him. Formally introducing himself, Fabian reveals he's a sword master, and he swears on his position to stand by his evaluation of the boy. He officially recognizes Leonard as a candidate for the special grade, promising him the treatment that comes with the title. His subordinate is completely losing his mind in the background, reminding Fabian that Leonard was just confirmed as a Penacor. Fabian isn't having any of it. He yells that the number of cores shouldn't define someone's potential. He tells Leonard to ignore the haters and focus on investing in his own talent to the absolute limit. To get him started, Fabian hands over a dimensional bag already stuffed to the brim with supplies. On top of the gear, Leonard gets a special privilege. He's allowed to pick his own training ground instead of being assigned one. Fabian points toward a series of glowing doors, each leading to a different training environment. He leaves the decision entirely up to Leonard, giving him total control over his next move. Leonard doesn't hesitate. He asks for the one place with training resources that actually matches current skill level. Fabian grins, liking the ambition. He explains that true masters are born from the path of carnage, not easy practice. He points to a specific door and tells Leonard his destination, Carabagos Island, the most remote spot in the Empire. It's a brutal wilderness where even veteran knights have been known to snap under the pressure. Parts of the island are so dangerous, they're basically on par with the demonic realm. When asked if he's excited, Leonard simply thanks the commander, ready for the challenge. As he prepares to leave, Leonard thinks about the core problem. People only think Penacors are weak because nobody knows how to train them correctly. He knows the secret. The 5 elements are meant to be a single unified flow, creating power in a realm of its own. This isn't a setback for him. It's the perfect chance to blow past everything he achieved in his past life. With his massive pack on his back, Leonard steps through the light. Fabian wishes him luck as he vanishes. The transition is blinding, and Leonard has to shield his eyes as he steps out onto the island. He finds himself standing at the edge of Carabagos, a dense blue-tinted forest that looks both beautiful and deadly. Suddenly, a voice from behind startles him. A man has managed to sneak up without making a sound. It's Bradley. He's impressed by Leonard's own stealth, noting he didn't hear a single footstep from the famous cadet everyone's been talking about. Bradley introduces himself as a senior knight of the Basilisk Squad. He's the one overseeing operations here in Carabagos. He tells Leonard it's time to move. The kid hasn't met the rest of the group yet, so they're heading elsewhere for now. Bradley explains that everyone here is an apprentice knight. Even if they're technically the same rank, he tells Leonard to show his seniors some respect, but he adds that there's no need to be intimidated. A rule prevents seniors from messing with any first-year rookies, so he's safe for now. The schedule is simple. 6 months of protection, followed by 6 months of pure training. After that, Leonard is responsible for his own mess. Bradley mentions he's even prepared a place for him to sleep. It's special grade treatment, likely because of Leonard's high status. They arrive at a room already stocked with the essentials. Bradley hands it over and tells him it's his for the duration. The rest is up to Leonard. As long as he has spirit stones, he can get pretty much anything he needs in this place. That covers the basics. Bradley checks to see if the kid has any actual questions before he leads him to it. Leonard wants to know the real difference between the protection period and the training period. During protection, Bradley supports all his activities. During training, he only steps in to make sure no one else lays a hand on him. Leonard asks if there are any rules against killing or serious injuries. Bradley's answer is firm. Killing is strictly forbidden. Leonard has one last question. What's the actual value of the resources he was given? Bradley tells him to just take a look for himself. The bag is loaded with 3,000 spirit stones and 100 elixir for every attribute. It's an absurd amount of loot for a single person. Bradley watches him, thinking Leonard must have really impressed the commander. Even direct descendants rarely get this kind of support. Leonard asks what spirit stones actually are. They're mana infused or is used to gradually expand a person's mana capacity. Bradley says this many stones could help a regular guy reach the 10th stage. Leonard is confused. He's never heard of these stages before. The knight realizes he needs to explain the local ranking system. He starts with how to tell a practitioner's power level. Martial artists in this world are split into 5 major realms, each with 10 minor stages. Crossing a realm brings you closer to being a true master. The first is the body tempering realm. It's all about using internal mana to expand your capacity and strengthen your physique. Next is the external force realm. This is where you refine that mana until it can be projected outside the body as aura. Then there's the transcendent realm. It's a bit harder to define because it varies from person to person, focusing on individual growth. The fourth is the demigod realm, a state where the mind transcends physical limits to project an inner image into reality. And the fifth, that's where you surpass humanity entirely and reach literal godhood. Leonard listens intently from his mat. It's called the divine transformation realm. Its legendary status. Bradley gets a bit emotional, noting that nobody besides their ancestor, Cardinus, has ever actually reached it. He snaps at the idea that it's just a myth. If the progenitor hadn't slain the dragon, everyone would still be living as slaves. He calms down and finishes the lecture. It's time for the real training to begin in earnest. The first step is mana cultivation. Bradley tells him to use those resources to beef up his body and expand his mana capacity. Then he just walks out, telling Leonard to do his best. Leonard is left a bit stunned by the sudden exit. He sits there for a second, wondering if that was really all the instruction he was going to get. He looks down at the scattered spirit stones. Absorption, huh? Seems simple enough for a start. Leonard notices the ambient mana in the room is surprisingly thick. He figures he could probably train just by soaking it in while walking around. If that's the case, he's in luck. He clenches his fist, ready to test the waters. He smirks. He already mastered this whole absorption process in his past life, so this should be a total breeze. He starts the process, and mana begins to surge through his arm with incredible intensity. Even he's surprised by the speed. In just a few hours, he's already hit the third stage. At this rate, he could probably reach the fifth before the day is even over. He flops back onto the floor. His memories from his previous life are making this training almost too easy. But then he stops himself. Finishing an entire stage in a single day would look way too suspicious to everyone else. He thinks about the commander. The guy already believes he's a once-in-a-generation genius. No need to prove him right that quickly and draw heat. He decides to mix in some old techniques to make the story more believable. It would be a waste to let all these resources sit around unused. Outside, the other cadets are already watching him from the shadows, likely wondering what kind of monster just moved in next door. A couple of cadets watch Leonard's cabin from the bushes, noting that he's been holed up inside for over a month and a half. They figure he's staying shut in until he hits at least the fifth stage. If he wants to survive around here, that's the bare minimum requirement. Leonard finally steps out into the fresh air, looking a bit worn out from his long seclusion. He decides he's done with the wooden training tools. It's time to ask Bradley for a real sword. He tracks down the senior knight and makes his request. Bradley is skeptical, wondering why a rookie needs a real blade so soon. Bradley warns him that just because he's gotten a little stronger, it doesn't mean he should start getting ahead of himself. Instead of arguing, Leonard throws a punch into the air, sending a massive shockwave that shatters the rocks behind him. Bradley stands there in silence, taking in a sudden display of raw power. He admits the growth is remarkable. Reaching the third stage in just 1 month is pretty much unheard of for a Pentecore. But then Bradley's aura shifts, turning dark and oppressive as he prepares to remind the kid who's boss. He looms over Leonard with a terrifying presence, warning the apprentice not to forget his place. Just as quickly, the tension snaps. Bradley lightens up and hands over a real sword, telling the kid not to look so frightened. He offers some parting advice. Stay safe and don't do anything reckless. Leonard takes the blade with a respectful thanks. Bradley adds a catch, though. If Leonard loses the sword, he's going to be paying him back in spirit stones. He holds up a crystal with a smirk, making sure the kid understands the debt he's just taken on. With that settled, Bradley turns and walks off, telling Leonard to keep working hard. Now that he's finally armed with a real blade, Leonard pulls out a map to plan his next move. He spots a location marked with a skull and decides that's exactly where he needs to head. Deep in a forest of remnants, a pack of goblins waits in the shadows for their next victim to wander in. In the dark woods, a group of green monsters lurks. These are hobgoblins, currently sitting at a rank of E2. Leonard walks calmly through the carnage. No matter how clean the cut, you can never quite hide the metallic stench of fresh blood. He swings his blade with chilling precision, telling the beasts he's doing them a favor by putting them out of their misery. As they die, their mana crystallizes into spirit stones. Leonard reaches out to claim his prize from the dirt. He's gathered about 100 low-grade stones in a single day. It's a decent haul, but it's not enough to satisfy him. The forest is full of nothing but E-rank small fry, and they aren't helping him grow fast enough. Suddenly, he catches a new scent. It's different from the others, heavy and predatory. Could it be a null? The creature isn't even trying to hide his presence. It's bold, clearly viewing Leonard as nothing more than a snack. Leonard draws his sword, a calm look on his face. The beast is making a fatal mistake by underestimating him. The wolf-like monster growls, its eyes glowing with a murderous intent as it prepares to lunge. It attacks with a massive axe, the force of the swing shattering the ground and kicking up clouds of dust. Leonard slides back effortlessly. He tells the stupid mutt to stop all the useless yapping. He can feel the raw power behind the attack just by shifting its trajectory. This thing is surprisingly strong. He leaps away from another heavy strike. If the hits are this big, his best bet is to just dodge everything. Something is wrong. The strength is far beyond anything he was taught about a normal null's capabilities. Usually, a standard goblin is ranked E1, and their evolved hobgoblin counterparts are E2. A normal null is supposed to be a ranked E1. It's rare for a monster to evolve more than once, but it happens. Leonard stares down his opponent. This beast definitely doesn't look like a simple D1 to him. He identifies it as an adnull, a dangerous D3 rank creature. It's exactly the kind of challenge he's been looking for. A slight smile plays on his lips. He hasn't had a chance for training this good in a long time. His eyes glow with a sharp red light as he prepares to get serious. It's time to see what this thing can really do. He moves like a ghost, weaving through a flurry of blue energy trails as the monster swings wildly. He pivots on one foot, dodging a reckless attack with inches to spare. He knows a hit like that would barely leave a scratch. He gets in close, the Admiral's massive frame towering over him as its axe misses once again. The monster slams its weapon into the ground, burying the axe head deep in the cracked earth. Leonard watches its clumsy movements. At the end of the day, it's just a beast relying on pure brute strength. He spins his blade, drawing a wide circle through the air as he positions himself for the final blow. A single powerful strike connects with the monster's neck, sending blood spraying into the air. The beast falls. Leonard stands over the corpse, genuinely surprised by the loot it leaves behind. A mid-grade spirit stone. Finding one of these in the forest of remnants is huge. It's worth a 100 low-grade ones. He looks at the dying monster. Fighting guys like this should help his internal energy grow a whole lot faster. He sheathes his sword and starts to walk away. It's no wonder the regular apprentice knights are too scared to come near this place. Later, Leonard sits cross-legged in deep meditation, mana swirling around him in a cold blue mist. He checks his progress and is shocked to find he's already reached the 10th stage of the body refining realm. This is bad. If the word gets out that a pentacore like him broke through this fast, it's going to cause some serious trouble. He needs to find a way to keep getting stronger and gathering resources without making such a huge scene. 3 months go by outside his training shed. Footsteps crunch on the gravel as someone approaches. A group of cadets is hanging around the entrance. One of them is complaining about having to check on him every single day. The senior cadet tells him to suck it up. They need to be the good seniors he meets first to get on his good side. In a powerful house like Cardino's, connections are the best weapon you can have. A handshake here means everything. He points toward the door, noting that Leonard is the undisputed number one, and even the commander has an eye on him. He gives Hayden a hard shove toward the door. It's time for the blonde cadet to go in and introduce himself. Hayden stands outside the hut with a bucket of fresh fish, calling out to the newbie inside. He warns him that he won't make any progress if he doesn't stop to eat properly. He peeks through a gap in the wooden boards, wondering if the kid has actually kicked the bucket. Since there's not a single sound coming from inside, he decides it's time to head back. Inside, Leonard watches them go. He's surprised to find that his seniors are actually being quite decent, and he finally understands why they've been snooping around. His crimson eyes glow in the darkness as he tracks their movements. From a spot behind the door, he could clearly see every detail of their faces through the cracks. He knows that if he stays as Leonard, his training results will be too much of a shock. But if he can pass himself off as a veteran who's been here for 10 years, no one will bat an eye. He settles into a meditative stance to prepare his next move. It's been a long time since he last used this specific trick, but he figures it's worth a shot. He initiates the reverse application art, a technique that uses mana to reshape his facial muscles and skin. Back in his prime, as the Sword Emperor, he never had to bother with such disguises. A faint energy surrounds his hands as the transformation takes hold. He's confident that this will be enough to keep the others from noticing anything suspicious. As his features shift, he thinks back to the boy he just saw. He remembers the name Hayden and prepares to step out as a disguised veteran. 3 months have passed, and Leonard's ended up in the foggy depths of the Bone Mountain Swamp. He's moving like a ghost through the brush, sticking to the number 1 rule of survival. Always erase your presence. This place is a nightmare, crawling with poisonous creatures that are experts at staying hidden. Just beneath the surface of the muck, lizard men are lying in wait for him to let his guard down. A typical lizard man is a C-rank threat, making them even more dangerous than the abnormal cases he's faced before. One lunges out of the swamp, but Leonard is already midair, preparing his strike. He brings his blade down with surgical precision, carving right through the beast. The kill was clean, but Leonard worries he might have made enough noise to wake up something bigger. Sure enough, a massive shadow looms out of the mist behind him. He doesn't even hesitate to engage. He's got no time to play around with monsters that don't know real swordsmanship. After clearing the area, he's gathered about 1,500 intermediate spirit stones, which means it's finally time to move to the next cultivation realm. But crossing into a major realm is a violent process that usually ends in a massive mana explosion. He's still borrowing Hayden's face to keep a low profile, so he can't afford to cause a scene on Karabagogus Island. He needs a secluded spot somewhere that can mask the energy and keep him out of the wind and rain. He spots a field of glowing plants tucked away by a cave entrance. These aren't just plants. They're high-quality spirit herbs that soak up mana way better than stones. But a place like this isn't unguarded. A massive tusked troll steps into view. Leonard ducks into the shadows as he senses another presence approaching. The troll braces itself as the ground starts to shake. A lycanthrope suddenly charges, slamming into the troll to start a brutal territorial fight. The wolf starts calling down lightning, the sheer power of the attacks making the earth tremble. Leonard watches from the sidelines, surprised that monsters at this level can actually manipulate the forces of nature. The troll isn't backing down, though, hurling massive chunks of rock with ease. Even with all that debris flying, the lycanthrope manages to dodge at lightning speed. Neither side is giving an inch as the brawl intensifies. While they're busy tearing each other apart, Leonard sees his chance to slip past. He figures he can explore the cave while the heavy hitters are distracted. He moves silently toward the dark opening in the rock face. Once inside, the noise of the battle completely vanishes. This silence is exactly what he needs for his breakthrough. Then he sees a glowing golden tree in the center of the cavern, radiating incredible energy. It's surrounded by even more intermediate spirit herbs. It's strange, though. With this much mana in one spot, he should have felled it from outside the cave. Leonard reaches out to test the air in front of him. His hand meets a shimmering hexagonal barrier, a hidden shield. That explains why no one noticed this place. He stares at the golden tree, wondering just what kind of treasure he stumbled upon. This is the perfect spot to finally reach the next major realm. But his peace is short-lived. A massive bloody figure enters the cave. It's the troll. It must have survived the fight, but it's looking rough. Luckily, the deep wounds it took are still wide open and haven't healed yet. Fresh blood is dripping onto the cave floor. Leonard grips his sword since this place blocks out all sound and mana. He didn't even notice the beast until it was right on top of him. The beast doesn't even bother attacking him. It just goes straight for the cave entrance, sealing Leonard inside. Leonard isn't worried, though. He draws his sword and prepares to take the monster heat in. Leonard dodges a massive rock. One direct hit from this thing, and it's game over. He stays on the move, avoiding the dark energy, cracking the ground behind him. Staring down the giant's massive back, Leonard prepares to end the fight in a single blow. The beast swings, but the boy is already out of the way. Leonard narrows his eyes. The monster isn't just strong. It's using earth and rock to shield itself. The creature flares up with fire, standing like a literal mountain between him and the exit. He realizes this thing is the reason the local lycanthropes were completely wiped out. It's not just big. It's had dual attributes, earth and fire from the very beginning. The monster glares through the flames, eyes glowing a menacing red. Just closing the distance won't work. Leonard needs a better approach. He leaps into the air to avoid the intense heat. If he touches that, he'll melt in an instant. He waits for the perfect moment, that split second, when the beast takes a heavy step forward. The monster's foot slams down. Now, Leonard lunges in, moving faster than the giant can react. This is it. He calls the end of the fight. The beast realizes too late. Leonard pierces straight through. A massive beam of blue mana shoots out from the monster's chest. Leonard lands and takes a breath, thinking it's finally over. But then he spots a dangerous glow coming from inside the monster's wound. It's a mana core, and it's vibrating with pink energy. The core detonates, turning the entire cave into a furnace. Leonard is caught right in the blast. If he doesn't protect himself, he's done for. The force of the explosion sends him flying into a tree. He coughs up blood. The impact was so hard he's pretty sure every bone in his body just shattered. Fire is everywhere. The whole cave is going to burn to a crisp in less than 5 minutes. No one is coming to help him in this hole. He's completely on his own. He decides to gamble. Reaching a higher realm is the only way his body will heal in time. There's no time to hesitate. He starts the breakthrough process right then and there. He starts drawing mana from spirit stones, forcing it into his damaged circuits. He's using 1,500 spirit stones at once to jumpstart the healing. He needs even more fuel, so he starts gathering every spirit herb in the vicinity. He shoves the herbs into his mouth, absorbing their power as fast as possible. Preparation is done. Mana is surging through him way beyond his usual capacity. His pentacore starts rotating all at once, spinning at full speed. He can feel all his chi becoming one, concentrating into a single point. It feels like his heart is being completely remade. He's done it. He's officially broken through to a new realm. But the energy won't stop. It's already surpassed anything a human body should be able to handle. A massive blue energy dragon erupts from him. This is the legendary power of a dragon. Leonard sits beneath a twisted tree, glowing with a strange golden light deep in meditation. He feels his mana integrating perfectly, pushing his realm straight to the third stage of the outer force. It's a massive jump, especially since most of the senior cadets have been stuck at the second stage for years. He knows this kind of growth is going to send shock waves through the Cardano's family. Checking his hands, he finds that his injuries are completely healed and his energy is flowing smoother than ever. It's almost hard to believe he walked away from that massive explosion without a single scratch. A brilliant, glowing fruit hangs from one of the tree's branches. As soon as he reaches out and touches it, the blinding light fades, leaving only the fruit behind. He realizes the tree's intense spiritual energy must have acted as a shield against the pillar of fire. The small blue fruit fits perfectly in the palm of his hand. Leonard takes a moment to process how the tree managed to absorb all that raw mana. He decides to take the seed with him, grateful for the protection it provided. Leonard sprints back toward the camp, knowing he can't afford to let anyone get suspicious of his absence. He's got a bit of a smirk on his face. Turns out he's gotten even stronger than he expected. He spots the light from the training center ahead. He makes it back just in time, hauling a massive blue wolf pelt over his shoulder. He quickly thinks about stashing his gear before the others catch him looking like this. Nearby, a cadet named Ian is surprised to see a door standing open. Leonard appears behind him so quietly that Ian nearly jumps out of his skin. Leonard introduces himself calmly, while Ian tries to catch his breath. Ian mentions he's hit a wall in his training and asks Leonard if he'd be up for a spar. Leonard agrees immediately, which seems to catch the other guy off guard. Ian acts all confident, happy that Leonard didn't refuse him. He gestures for Leonard to follow, promising to show him what it really means to be a knight. The spar is over in a flash. Ian is sent flying by the sheer force of Leonard's strike. Ian hits the dirt and immediately admits defeat. A blonde cadet named Hayden watches from the side, sweating as he realizes Leonard isn't just some beginner. Hayden steps in and ignites his practice sword with fire mana. Ian shouts at him, wondering why the hell he's using real mana in a practice session. Leonard is fine, but his hand is smoking from the impact. The other cadets rush over to check on him. He looks at the blood on his palm, realizing that even a blocked mana attack can still do real damage. It's a clear lesson that swordsmanship isn't everything when magic is involved. Ian is visibly worried and asks why Leonard isn't angry about getting hurt, but Leonard is actually grateful he's learning a lot from these exchanges. He holds his sword out, genuinely looking forward to their next match. A little while later, Ian shows up in full gear, saying they have to cancel the spar. Leonard steps out, wondering what all the commotion is about. Ian tells him there was a massive explosion near the swamp that has everyone on edge. The rumors are flying that a lycanthrope and a troll got into a vicious turf war. They found the troll burned to death and the wolf's body completely mangled. The high-ranking knights are already at the site, surveying the mess Leonard actually caused. Ian tells him to just stay back and rest, since he's clearly not ready for real combat yet. Ian turns to Leonard, mentioning he's got something special for him. He drops a bundle of 5 decent-looking swords on the ground, noting that Leonard had managed to break a few during their sparring sessions. Ian gives him a thumbs up and a grin, telling him not to forget about his old buddy once he becomes a famous knight. Leonard promises he won't, thanking him as he stands by the wooden door of his quarters. As Ian heads out, he warns Leonard to stay put today, since most of the guards will be distracted with training at the swamp. Leonard takes the advice, realizing that causing a scene now would only turn into a massive headache. He watches as the light of the explosion continues to ripple in the distance, knowing everyone is looking the wrong way. Draped in a dark hooded cloak, he realizes this distraction is actually the perfect opportunity for him to make a move. He watches the columns of knights marching away, knowing that running into them while using a fake identity would just create more chaos. He decides to keep the lycanthrope skin on for now, even if it is a little uncomfortable. With everyone clustered in one area, Leonard finally has the freedom to move without being watched.